Well, good afternoon, everyone. I just wanted to do a quick video here. This is on the old 101EX that I'm operating, that I restored last year. Now, what I've encountered throughout the time frame that I've operated this rig is I live in a very high noise area, and it doesn't help that I'm running a 5-band vertical either. So I started looking at the several PC boards for the noise limiter, that one right there, and started looking at the modifications that came from the factory on that particular, or those particular boards. Each board and era had its own little modification. So I'll just give you an example. I'll show you what's going on here, and this is minor noise level for me. It really is, and that's like a good day. It really is. I can go up here to 80 and show you what 80 is doing, and well, 80 is just dead for some reason. Okay, there we go. Turning the wrong dial, right? Okay, so there's my normal noise level on 80. And this is the middle of the day. So anyways, so I went through and did a bunch of research. And look at that camera get focused, man. Did a bunch of research and started looking into the noise limiter. Well, this is what I ended up with. That's my noise now. Okay, with the limiter out or off, with the limiter in, I've got that going down to at least 3. So dropping, 6S units. And I could adjust it for a little better results, which is not a problem. I just haven't gone through the steps yet. But there it is with the noise limiter off. Sorry about the waving and everything, people. And drop that in, and we're at least down to a 3. But I can make it better. So, just for example, okay, so I'm not going to bore you with all my research and stuff, but I ended up with the PB 1292B Bravo version. Now, this is the standard. If you look at this is the standard mod that Yaesu was putting out at that time, when this board was out there. So, let's see here. Let's go to the next one. And you'll see they're really not much on that side of the board that was modified. Most of the modification was on the back side of the board. So I'll let you look at that real quick. That's a brown, black, yellow resistor on the bottom end. Brown, black, red on the top end, coming off of, basically coming off of Q4. A 3 picofarad cap on that T1, I think it's 111, I don't know, I'm not sure. And then a jumper wire, and it looks like there's actually, they split the, cut the board, and I don't know what the reasoning was behind that. But then they looks like they soldered it back. But then they tried other things. But they ended up with the trace being cut. Now down here off to the right, you'll see another trace right there that was cut and then resoldered back in with a piece of wire. So all I can think of is this is one of the boards that might have been a preliminary, test board. But there again, there's that cut right there. And it looks like they had soldered wire over it and stuff, but anyways. So that's about the modifications to that board. Well, I said to myself, in all honesty, with that board plugged in, it was very hard to align like the book says. Now these trimmers, that one and that one, are easy to set. You just set those for maximum S meter. But when you get to this one, right here, that actually seems to work a portion of the basically a portion of the board limiting circuit is what it amounts to. That trimmer right there, right here, pretty much allows you to adjust your ignition noise. And then the top one, of course, that we all know about, that's behind this right here, it adjusts your level of noise limiting. So let's look at what I came up with here to get to the point where I could actually use this board as a noise limiter board. I mean, to be honest with you, when I first started looking at this board, I said to myself, well, I got into the schematics and started looking at, let's say, for example, let me get a little pinpointer here. For example, why was this trace cut? This one here. Because on this board, before I did any work, this trace was cut. And then again, this trace here was cut. Okay, and then, of course, it had this jumper lead. And then, of course, it had this capacitor. And it had, I'll have to show you the other side. This was an original resistor here that was in this location. But the resistor that was here, that was clear over here, tied in, was a different value resistor than what I used here. I actually took that resistor off. It was a brown, black, red. And I put it, believe it or not, in the position on this board that they had taken it out of. And where they had taken this out of, let's see if I can see it here. If I remember right, well, it's pretty much this one right here. And a second thing I noticed, hopefully you can see this. Let's see if I can get it in there a little better. Sorry for this, doing it by hand. But there's two jumpers right here. One right there and one right there. And these jumpers were not connected. It was just an open space. There was no jumpers here. And so again, I looked at the schematic and was kind of curious about the whole situation there. But anyways, that's all I added to this board on this component side. Nothing else has changed anywhere in the component side. Now, I tied that in for RF purposes, and it did work. I tied that canister to ground through this tuning capacitor, and it solved what I had for a RF issue off the radio there, so that was fixed. You know what? I mean, right here's brown, black, red too. So somewhere on this board, wherever it was, it indicated to place a brown, black, red resistor in that spot. But I still think it's over here. I don't know. It could definitely well be right there. So let's look back at the other side. So I'll show you again. So what modifications I redid was these two jumpers and put the resistor back in the hole over here and grounded this canister to the turn pot here. That's it. That's all that's been done on this side of the board. Okay, so this side of the board, I actually have done quite a bit of difference. I went ahead and stuck with this jumper lead here and followed this trace down and says, okay, I need to get this trace open, solid again. So I welded a piece of wire on that, soldered, came down here, and there was another trace right there broke. So I I threw a piece of wire across that and soldered it. And this trace right here was cut. So I went ahead and I threw a piece of wire across that one. Now I left this resistor alone. I didn't touch it at all, not from where it was soldered or anything. Okay, and then secondly, I went back in, and it probably took me about 5 or 6 changes of resistors here. And I went to the base or Q. Let's see, it would be more of the collector on G4, I think it is. The other one was tied in up here, and I couldn't understand that because that was just nothing but grounds up in here. So I looked around at the schematic and says, okay, I think what they were trying to do was up the field here to ground out here through a resistor. But I can't make thoughts of what other people do in their worlds. But anyways, so I went through 2 or 3, maybe 4 resistors here to find that level of when I kicked that noise limiter on I was getting 22 dBs of rejection. Now, with this variable resistor right here, I can change that 22 from about 5 dB gain up to 22 of rejection. But that's if this one is adjusted correctly. Now, like I said, this one and even this one, those all get adjusted to just maximum S meter. This one, it runs coincidental with that one, and that's why I was getting an RF problem here. And when I was doing the resistors on the backside, I was fighting with this one because of distortion, audio distortion on my incoming signal, which these boards were known for anyways. If you adjusted that VR1 too much, you'd not only lose your receive sensitivity, you lost your receive audio because it would become into a position where it was distorted. So again, I added this resistor to the collector, came down here, hooked it in with this one, soldered these back on, and as you can see, I really haven't, this isn't one of my better boards. I mean, there's solder there. I mean, this board here was just a prototype. Basically, I wanted to mess around and see what it was going to do, and I found out what it can do. So, that being said, let's stick this back in here, and I can't even show you the distortion anymore because that I got rid of working with that resistor. But I can give you examples of the receiver now, because a lot of people would say, oh, as soon as you turn that on, you're going to lose a percentage of your receive. Well, it's not so. So there's 9 S units, and I kick that in, and I'm dropping at least 3. So let's go back to, let's say 40, and see, 40 is just as bad. I've got looks like 7, 8. Boom. Shuts that almost completely off. Now let's go ahead and kick that back on, and you guys can hear my receive. See if we can find somebody here. So he's, go ahead and listen to that. Now that's a 22 dB gain loss, or rejection. So by adjusting this, I can still maintain my noise loss and bring that signal right back up. With no distortion. No distortion at all in that audio. And see, he's doing S9. But listen to the noise. Okay, now I can kick that in. No change in audio, no distortion. And I can adjust that to match his incoming signal. I was just giving you an example there that I can drop it down or bring it up. Let's see, not much else going on, but the one black kitty is inside the house, asleep in the living room on the couch, and a little chilly outside for the... See, I don't even know what that... I think that's band noise. Unless I've got... Really, I have something like interference from a generator or something. Okay, there we go. Good afternoon to everybody on the net. And not great conditions today for the RF environment, but we were able to copy about 70% of the people checking in today. So hopefully conditions will improve. So, anyways, I can go through and do a lot of different tests, but you do have to align that VR right there. Because like I said, maximum will go up to about negative 22 dB, and then the one down there on that is actually how you get rid of your highest noise conditions. You can play with it, and as soon as you start playing with it, you're going to find out. If you've never touched it before, or you don't believe anybody ever has, then just leave it where it's at and adjust VR1 at the top. And like I said, you can adjust it to where the signals, you can lose the signal. For example, okay, here's with that in off, and I'll go to my attenuator. Come on, focus up. I'll shut that off. And see, that's about a negative 25 dB attenuator. But you still hear the noise. Hear it? Hear it crackling? Okay. Boom. In the last 24 hours, but there is some rain predicted for Saturday, so we're going to keep our fingers crossed because it's the 3/4 of rain we had last month. And like I said, I could adjust that to where there wouldn't be any signal loss at all and no distortion. So I can give it as much as 22 dBs. Negative 22 dB of rejection, or adjust it into just getting rid of the noise and maintaining RF signals. So basically I can go from like 0 to 22 with that setup. So I just thought I'd shoot that out there for you guys and let you know that there is still some mods that are going on in the Yaesu worlds. I hope you all enjoy it, and I hope if for any chance you might want to get into that particular mod improvement. So because I did not by any means design the mod, I just did a little research and a little bit of testing, and with the scope and everything, and everything, I was able to see what that unit was doing for dB rejection and everything else, and came up with the resistor values and stuff. So yeah, I just spent a little time messing around. So anyways, guys, gals, if that's the case, Happy New Year, and I hope you enjoyed the video. And oh yeah, just a quickie here. I've got pretty much all my boards from the Uniden 2020 completed. New caps, electrolytics, new mylars, all the turning pots are cleaned up and ready to go. All the boards have been resoldered. There you go. Resoldered and cleaned up. All new parts. You know. This board's done too as well. All new caps, mylars, electrolytics. All of the variable resistors have been cleaned, taken apart, cleaned. So yeah, I've done pretty much the same thing with these boards that I had done with the Yaesu board. I don't know where I'm getting that light from. Not on my phone, I guess. Maybe it is. But you can see, if you focus in, there we go. Those boards are completely resoldered and cleaned and ready to go. These, you know, I have to say, these boards, the etching on these boards is very delicate. As you can see right there, when I was cleaning it, look at how the etching just comes right off. Not the copper, but the outside layer, the cover of the etching. That's a factory mod. But every time, you know, if I did anything drastically during the cleanup, man, it would just come off. So I don't know if that's age or what, but you know, the radio is 30-something years old, I guess. But these are all sitting here, getting ready to get put away till they get inserted back in. That's all done. The back's all done. Look at this. Now, that, I first fired the radio up, and this arced. And I was like, what in the world is going on? So I pulled the board, and I looked at it, and I says, I don't get this. I don't understand why this arced to ground. So I'm looking at it, and I said, well, there's really no components that's a problem. There's no failure in anything. The diodes were all good. Well, look, if you look, excuse me, see if I can get this in there. If you look at that edge right there, there's a little bit of black. Right there you go. A little bit of black paint, believe it or not. So somebody at one point or another had dropped paint down from there all the way down the side of this board. I mean, you can even see some of the black still right there. These boards aren't 100% completed yet. I mean, but all of the components that have been changed are done. But anyways, I'm going to have to etch that again and get it cleaned up. Now, I did plug this board back in, and it's fine. Now it's fine. So after I fix that up, reseal it, paint it, yeah, we'll never know. Because my biggest concern was, did that go to ground from the beginning, or was that just burnt across because of that? And, well, long story short, that does not connect. It would if it was the 10 watt version, but they've got this wired right here for the 100 watt version. The dotted lines are for the 10 watt version. If you wanted to just run this radio at 10 watts, see, okay, here we go. It says it right there if I can get it in. Yeah, see, 10 watts is the dotted lines, 100 watts is the solid line. So everywhere where you see a jumper, it'll be on the solid lines and not on the dotted lines. So anyways, but there you go. I still have some work to do to them. But generally, they've all the components have been tested, valued, everything. The board's completely cleaned. And then, like that one past board, I'll have to do the repairs on that. But, like this board, I mean, I really, I'm surprised how well these turned out. I mean, they really have come a long way. And I just look at this down here where it hooks into the. I mean, it's amazing how clean it came. I never do it, but I ought to do it one time, and that's just take a picture of those connecting points before I do a cleanup, because yeah, it's pretty sad. Alright, folks, have a good one. 73s, and I hope you enjoy the video.